Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make a dice tray for tabletop games out of this little shadow box that I found at Michael's. This one's a hexagon shadow box and it cost me $1 in their little bulk woodworking area. And then one of these pieces of green foam sheet. This was also $1 in the craft area. So we're going to go ahead and get started by tracing the hexagon onto the foam and then cutting it out. This will give us a nice base to work with. So as you can see, it's just kind of quick, simple, easy to line up. And next thing we need to do is make sure that it'll fit on the inside. Now you could take it and just kind of stuff it down in and then trim the edges this way, but it makes a very, very rough edge and it doesn't look nice, and it's actually a lot harder than you'd expect. So instead, what we're going to do is mark out some lines and do a little bit of cutting. So we're going to use the millimeter side of our ruler, and going across from point to point, we're going to mark off 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter in from both sides. Now, I'm using a pen for this because a pencil doesn't really show up. So once we've got this marked, we're going to do it on all of the points going in towards the center. That's going to give us a kind of template to work with. Now, the whole intention of this craft is to kind of make it as easy as possible and as few steps and tools as possible so that anyone can recreate this with just a little bit of time. I think grand total, this whole project took me maybe a half hour to put together, probably a little bit less. Alright, so now that we've got all these marked, we're going to draw a line connecting all of the inside ends of the lines, and this is going to basically be our cut template. So we're just going to, once they're marked, cut along all of the lines, and that should be perfectly sized to fit inside of the hexagon. Alright, so here it is all cut out, and quick test fit. And yep, looks like we're good there. Alright, so now we're going to cut a strip of the foam to fit around the inside of all of the raised edges. So we're going to do a quick measurement and see how wide we need to cut the foam. So again, working with millimeters simply because it's going to keep everything consistent. We're going to ignore the bottom mark on the outside edge because that is the base. So we're going to need 2 centimeters. So now that I've cut the strip, we're going to do a quick check to make sure that it's long enough to fit around the inside edge. It should be. I used the long edge of the sheet of foam. Now this is just a loose fit. Once we glue it down, it'll be a much snugger fit. Okay, cool. We do have enough, and there's a bunch left over, so we have some room to make a few mistakes. Alright, so now we need to heat up the hot glue gun and start gluing everything down. So putting all this together is pretty simple. I'm just doing a quick little line of hot glue, pressing everything into place, letting the glue solidify, and then doing another strip and moving on. Now at the inside corners here, I'm taking a little bit of extra time to make sure that everything is pressed in, just to kind of make it nice and neat and make sure that there aren't any huge noticeable gaps. Now on the long edges here, I do a bit more of the hot glue and just kind of press down the whole side. Now if this bubbles out of the top or bottom, that's okay. Let it solidify a little bit, and then a utility knife can remove it from the bottom, or Most of the time you can just kind of rub it away from the top. I wouldn't recommend doing this when it's still very hot. You will burn your fingers. I've just done that so many times to myself that I've got some calluses on my fingertips and it doesn't really bother me as much. Don't recommend it. The process of getting those is rather painful over the years. Alright, so this is a pretty easy thing to put together. All you need is just a utility knife to cut the foam and a hot glue gun. You could probably use super glue. I would recommend the gel super glue, not liquid. It'll go on a little bit nicer. Alright, so now that that's together, we're going to use a X-Acto knife and do a quick cut to remove the extra. Now this does have a little bit of a gap, but I don't think it's really that noticeable, and I don't think the person I'm making this for is going to mind. So now we're going to fit the hexagon foam back in, make sure everything still fits. Now I did realize after the fact that putting the side strip on first does look pretty good, and I'm happy that I did that, but putting the foam back into the bottom, it doesn't fit anymore, and you've got this nice little bubble section on the bottom. So we're going to need to trim a few slices off the sides. Now, I am going to cut maybe 1 millimeter off of each side, but I would recommend, just cut 2 sides, just a little thin strip, maybe 3 or so. Do a test fit, see if it fits into the spot, and then go back and cut some more if you have to. I know you'd think that just doing a cut off of each side would work because you're just trimming down all the sides, but they don't always line up the way you'd think. So I took a chance with this and it ended up working, but I would recommend make one cut, do a test fit, make another cut, do a test fit, until everything fits the way you want it to. So there's a little bit of a bubble still, but that'll fix itself when we glue it back down. And here we are with the finished piece. I did use a kind of smoothing tool, something to just kind of press down the center as I was gluing it down. It removed a whole lot of the bulges from the hot glue as it was cooling. So this is a very nice, simple craft that you can make as gifts to your players or even for yourself. It's very low cost. I spent like $2.25 on it once you figure in tax. You can make these in bulk in a day and make like a dozen or so of them if you want. I've got a group of like 6 adventurers that I'm kind of planning on giving these to once we start back up in New Year's. So thank you everyone for watching. Please, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for future content, comment in the comments section, and we will see everyone next episode.